My Lords, to meet our economic ambitions as laid out in His Majesty's most gracious speech, we will need to source critical minerals from all over the world. Whether it's tungsten or gallium in defense or tantalum in medical devices, there are at least 24 minerals which are highly critical for the British economy. My Lords, there is no path to net zero without them. Wind turbines, solar panels, hydrogen fuel cells, EV batteries, they all contain critical minerals. And we will probably be able to source some quantities domestically, like lithium from Cornwall, but the geology of the United Kingdom means we will be hugely dependent on international markets for a long time. Now, other countries are after the same materials that we need, and they have aggressive sourcing strategies in place. The Chinese strategy is well known. They will invest right through the life cycle. They will fund high-risk exploration. They will fund mine development, which costs billions of dollars. They will build domestic processing. They will build the logistics infrastructure required, and then they will sign a 30-year offtake agreement. But it's not just the Chinese, my lords. Many other countries for many years have had upstream strategies in place. The Middle East with their sovereign wealth funds, the Japanese with JOCMEC, the South Koreans with CORES. And so how do we compete with that? We don't have a sovereign wealth fund. We don't have a state-owned mining company. We have no ability to guarantee offtake. And the government has laid out their critical minerals strategy, but the end users in industry do not think it goes far enough. And so our strategy must be strengthened. We need to build emergency stocks, and these might be held overseas. Otherwise, we will end up panic buying like we did with PPE. And we will need to work with our allies and partners to strengthen our buying power. We alone have very limited market share and thereby little influence. And we will need a state-owned entity to be the buyer of last resort. We have precedents like the Low Carbon Contracts Company, and we shouldn't be shy to apply similar models to critical raw minerals from overseas. But most importantly, we'll need to ensure with full transparency that we source sustainably and ethically. And this is where we can better direct our existing resources, whether it's BII or our OD allocations or our newly appointed Foreign Secretary. But we must also continue to leverage the fact that London still remains a global hub for mining companies, and doing nothing is not an option. These industries are cyclical, and when supplies are short, prices will go up, and that will mean higher prices for British consumers. In some instances, entire factories will shut down, as we saw during last year's semiconductor crisis. So I hope the government might consider much bolder steps in sourcing critical minerals. These minerals are quite literally the basic building blocks upon which our economic and technological future depends.